everybody. It's Thursday.
And thank goodness for that, huh? One day closer to the weekend. Welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily, and thank you for joining us here tonight. So, in this past week, it does feel like it's been a long week, but we had some pretty great fishing this past weekend. And our conditions have been... we're going to have pretty similar conditions coming up this weekend. So consistency is always great.
Yeah, weather's been really stable. It seems like everybody's finding the fish in the same spots. Lots of panfish out deep. There's some along the weed lines. I even saw a post, though, that don't forget to start to fish under some of that heavy cover, the big lily pad mats and stuff like that. Even in 3 feet of water, you can still pull some nice fish out of there. So don't overlook that either.
That is a good point. Fish are at that point in summer where they are even seeking shade. Especially this year, they have had a ton of heat and a ton of sun for a good amount of time already. So with that, that's why we're mentioning, under those shade cover areas. But those deeper fish sometimes are the ones that you might get that bite from, because sometimes up shallow, there is a lot of forage. Be it bugs, be it minnows or anything like that. So if you are trying those shallow spots and that is not what's working for you, then do not worry, because there's other options this time of the year.
Absolutely. Hi, John. How's it going?
With that, though, it is also a great time of the year to, get out your family members, because when the weather is great, sometimes there's even sandbars or whatever it is to stop at. But you also kind of are at that time of year when even those small little teeny tiny fish, they bite like they are giant fish. So, if you are getting somebody new out there, that is a great way to introduce them to all of this. What else? I guess we don't even know where we're fishing this weekend. Sometimes we go into the weekend with a plan. But recently we've been trying some new bodies of water. You look like you had an idea. Where are we going?
I was just gonna say we don't have any plans for this weekend, I guess. But coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, we're taking a trip.
Yeah, to where?
We're taking a trip down west of Madison to go fish with Pat Kelmerton from Wolfpack Adventures. So any fishing trip with Pat is an adventure.
Well, and I believe I heard that he has an event going on that weekend. But to be honest, if I had been prepared for that, I would have pulled it up. Maybe next week we'll give you a little bit more information.
Yeah.
But, another great point, though, there is a lot of different local tournaments and events and all of that going on. And so many of these things really do go back to supporting your local waterways or fisheries or, getting others involved in the sport. So definitely go and check out what's going on in your local area and, report back to us what's going on. Oh, Pat. Hey awesome.
Pat.
Good. Pat, if you're there, post a link to your event up here, because we're talking about that and we're sharing that out. So let us know more information about that. With that being said, one of the other great things about the different tournaments and events and all of that is certainly the camaraderie, people getting together. Sometimes there's even giveaways or all that kind of fun stuff, but that on the water time together, you never know what kind of fun knickknacks or fishing items or things people are going to have in front of them. And so with that, we have a pretty... a nifty device to bring you tonight, right? Yeah. So, Bob, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, Bob, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Bait Caddy?
All right. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. They're all moved out, so I have plenty of time to pursue my Bait Caddy business. And I invented it because the other live bait containers on the market, well, let's just say that they weren't so user-friendly. And there's one in particular, I won't mention names, but it's yellow and white. It's got a spring-loaded door, and you can't see what you're reaching in for. That's why we make the Bait Caddy clear. And it's very easy to use. One hand opening, and there's a piece of foam in the lid that makes it float. We've got holes located on either side, so water is constantly flowing in and out, keep your bait fresh and alive. And we float deeper than any other bait container out there, so it looks something like that when it's floating in the water. So we're down this far, about 9 inches. And that's a lot colder water. So at this time of year, when that surface temperature is rather warm, any other live bait container, your bait has a good chance of dying in there.
That's a really great point about this time of the year. You know, sometimes people will use those other little bait containers and float them out there and then wonder, you know, oh, it's fresh water. Oh, they're floating in the lake. Like, why are my minnows still not doing well? And I think that is a really great point, that temperature has everything to do with it. And so getting those fish a little bit deeper, you know, it's amazing. Actually, on our boat, we have 2 different hummingbirds, and Josh has the back and I have the front.
Mm-hmm.
The trolling motor is deeper than the sensor on the actual boat. And sometimes just that little bit of distance, we get sometimes a 2-degree temperature difference in our hummingbirds.
Right.
That makes a huge difference for minnows.
Right. Yep.
Cool. And then the other thing that I was seeing is, you know, one of my favorite things is having a product that is open water and ice. So not to, you know, jump too far ahead, but some people are already getting sick of summer, and that's a product that you can then use year round.
Yeah, I'm not a hot weather guy, but I'm also not a super deep freeze guy. So I'll take the 70s, which hopefully are coming up in a couple months, and the leaves changing colors, and I don't mind about 14 inches of ice and about 35 degrees. So if you do ice fish, yeah, you can take the Bait Caddy, and it fits in an 8-inch or bigger ice hole. So it's a year-round application.
That is really awesome. And then the size is super portable, but I mean, you can still fit like a ton of minnows in there.
Yeah, I've jam-packed this or one of these right up to the holes, and as long as it's in the water, you don't lose. Well, you're going to lose a few just because of natural whatevers, but as long as they're floating, even hanging off of a dock, you know, I've had people tell me they had their minnows last all summer long, or their leeches. You can put leeches in here too, because the holes are small enough that the bulk of them won't get out. The little tiny panfish sized leeches, they could sneak out these holes, but I didn't design it for those. It's medium and larger leeches that I designed it for. So yeah, and they're all made in Minnesota. We've got a limited lifetime warranty. Yep.
That's really awesome. And did I see on your website that you can leave it on your boat while you're trolling?
Yes, you can. Yep. So when this is going through the water, you can tie a rope onto the handle, and it'll drag behind the boat, and it stays submerged except for that, you know, top portion of it. And you don't have to worry about the lid accidentally coming open, because it can't. And for anybody that is going to tie one of these off on your dock, I had Ron Shera asked me at the Minneapolis Sports Show a couple years ago. He stopped by our booth, and he asked me if this container was otter-proof, and it is. They can't get into it. Some of those other containers, they can reach their hand in there. I know it's not a big deal to some people, but others it is. For instance, there's a resort up in Ely called Arrowhead Outdoors and Canoe Cabin Rental, and they had probably 15 to 20 of those yellow and white containers I was talking about earlier. And they got a hold of me and said, "Hey, Bob, is that thing otter-proof that you make?" I said, "Yes, it is." And they ordered a case of 18 of them to replace those other containers that they had.
That is actually really, I mean, I want to say unique, but that's the thing is when you have a system that you come to know and love, but then, you know, maybe you travel, you bring the family to a resort somewhere, you know, that's something that you don't want to have just happen to you and not expect to all of a sudden be out of minnows. You know, that would kind of really be a bummer. But I also wonder about, you know, other critters, raccoons and such. So, you know, otters, I don't have that around here, but some creatures I do. Yeah, Phil, you're asking, are they bear proof? That may be a different question.
No, I don't want to build them. I don't want to build them bear proof, because then you won't buy another one.
Yeah, they have to expire sometime. So something I'm seeing here that's kind of cool and kind of an old school trick too is that well, and you can still use it now, but there's times where you could put like a glow stick in a jar with a handful of minnows and sink it just under the surface. And when fish can see the minnows and that light, they're attracted to it. And so something like this could be a very similar application, only it mimics like a bigger school of minnows that sits by your fishing spot. So that's kind of a cool thing too.
Yeah, I've had people ask me, is that legal? And I can't answer that 100% for sure, but I've done it myself, and watching my graph, it works. That's all I can say. So obviously there's water in here, and you're going to have to put some rocks in it to make it sink.
Mhm.
Otherwise it's going to float, right? So then you'll just have to get a waterproof flashlight, but back it up by putting it in a Ziploc bag, because even though those waterproof flashlights, just in case they aren't waterproof, 100% waterproof, that Ziploc bag will make sure that it is. But yeah, I've done that and it works.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there, Bob. Here in Wisconsin, we're allowed to use submersible lights in the water, and there are some states. I believe Minnesota is one of the states that don't allow that. But I would check the regulations to see if they allow glow sticks. Like they have the camping glow sticks that you snap and you shake up, the chem lights. Those are waterproof. You can take them. They won't crack in the water and stuff, and they work plenty fine too. But do check your regulations to make sure that meets the rules that it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a cool little trick.
Yep. So
yeah, I like the idea of the glow. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that if you're in a wheelhouse or even in a portable shack, ice fishing, obviously, instead of having to bend over and pull the bucket out of the hole, if you tie a rope onto the handle and put a hook up on the wall, put a loop on the rope, right? Then you just pull the rope up. You don't have to bend over every time. Just a little something.
Yeah.
Well, that's even, hang it on your ice shack, hang it, if you're sitting, you just don't want to get up and down. That is a really super great way to just be able to wrangle it in. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah. Phil is also mentioning here, he has one and he loves it.
Well, thank you. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. I was contacted several months ago by a guy, Randy Cornell, and he runs a charter service out of Michigan called Karma Sports Fishing Charter Service. And he hits Saginaw Bay, Saginaw River, Houghton Lake, and a few others. And he told me a couple weeks ago that he was going to be on local 9 and 10 news Tuesday. What's today? Wednesday?
Thursday.
So he was going to be on there Tuesday, starting at 5:45 a.m. and doing a live gig on his business. And he asked me if I'd be interested to send him a couple of hats and a couple of new bait caddies, because he uses his. He's got two of them in his boat, and he said that there's nothing wrong with them. They're scratched up. They're just fine. He says, but if I'm going to be on live TV, he said, I would sure love to promote your product. And so I sent him a couple of new caddies, a couple of hats, and a couple of decals. And I told him, I said, why don't we just do a little promo? And I told him, I said, we'll get an extra discount for anybody that wants to, that watches the show. And if they go to baitcaddy.com and enter promo code KARMA, CARMA, they get an extra discount. They're on sale right now, but that's an extra discount. So I would pass that on to anybody else that's watching this show. If you do the same thing, you would get the same discount.
Cool.
Well, that is really super exciting. I know, especially without having shows and stuff last year, people are super antsy to see some of that new stuff that's out there. Well, and I want to say new to them, because you have actually been out a while and we've actually seen you at a few shows. Phil, that we keep referring to, I think is Phil Mathwig. So I imagine that you guys probably met each other at a show or an expo. And he's actually asking if you are going to be at St. Paul this December.
Yes, we so last year, obviously COVID canceled that show, but the year prior to that was our first show at the St. Paul Ice Show, and we were off in the side wing next to a company that sold knives, and the traffic over there was horrible. So I got a hold of the show promoters, and I asked him if there was a booth that was available in what I call the zoo, which is the main floor, and they set me up with that. I don't know exactly where I'm at, but if you come down the main set of stairs, you go past Reed's, we're within 20 yards of their booth, so we'll be there for sure. In fact, we might be set up in a couple of different areas. We usually take care of Thorne Brothers and Reed's. We have a pro staff in each one of their booths, and then I'll be standing doing a show and tell, because it's not wise for me to sell bait caddies at a show where my stores are selling them. So I would. Some people don't understand that concept, but y'all do.
Yeah.
Well, and the show and the expo, it's fun, the energy, all of that's going on, it's a lot. But one of the cool things is seeing, the test of time on products. So all of these different booths tend to show up with new or fairly new products to their booth. But the number of times that product gets used and abused and shown off at a show and expo, imagine every single person that walks by, and so imagine like every single time, for example, that bait caddy, like every single person that walks by, that hinge opens and closes and opens and closes, but if you can get that many opens and closes out of your bait caddy, like that would probably last you 20 years. Like
I built them to last and offer the limited lifetime warranty because I know how myself, yourself, everybody else out there is going to abuse them. You're going to forget it behind the boat. You're going to take off. You're going to be going Mach 2, and you're going to remember it's back there. You're going to look behind you, and I can almost guarantee you're going to break the rope before you break the handle. I overbuilt every aspect of this bucket because I know how we're going to use it, and the plastic is rated to withstand temperatures of minus 20 degrees. So if you're out there hole hopping, you don't have to worry about it cracking. You're going to get some ice buildup on it. I can't stop that, but you can take a stick or a rock or whatever you have and hit it, and the ice will break right off of it. Otherwise, I'd be crazy to offer a lifetime warranty.
Right. Well, and that's good, because if somebody drops one down those stairs at St. Paul, then they can just go pick it up before somebody else grabs it.
Right.
So we have our friend Sean Cox checking in. He said that he has one, him and his wife have one, and they've also gotten their friends to scoop them up as well. So getting some good feedback here.
I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. We do have probably about 6-8 months ago, we released, we've got a floating dip net that fits inside the bait caddy, and everything was going great. And now we've got issues with supply because even though the bait caddy is made here in the U.S., it's made in Minnesota. I can't compete price-wise with nets that are 99 cents if I try to find them here in the States. So they come from overseas, and I can't get them, which I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's you and everybody else.
Yeah. So we've got one that's shorter, and so when you open the lid, it just it pops right to the top, and you grab it. You don't have to put your hands in the water, and you scoop your minnows out or your leeches. And I usually lay the net on the lid so they're right there, so you're not reaching inside the net trying to scoop them out. And we also make a longer version for people that use 5-gallon buckets, or maybe they have the deeper angle coolers. We have those eventually. Very cool. I do have right now, so that sale that we've got going on, that Karma promo code, it's a bait caddy, free shipping with a floating dip net for $18.99.
Wow. That's
and
good.
our online price is $24.99. You can find them in most retail stores, $17.99 to $19.99. So you get, they don't throw in a free floating dip net.
Right.
Well, and I was going to ask also, you said that you were going to go to St. Paul. Are there other shows and expos if people want to come and check you out?
The Sioux Falls show, what's the name of that? I'm drawing a blank, with Todd Heitkamp.
That's the Ice Institute.
Ice Institute, right. Yep. And I'll be there for sure. I'm thinking about doing maybe the Duluth show.
Okay.
But I haven't made final arrangements there yet.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is for people who cannot get to shows and expos, you are in a whole bunch of different stores that have almost got to be local to people. So you have a whole list on your website. Can you give a few highlights?
Runnings is our biggest chain so far. We're for the people in St. Paul, Minneapolis area. We're at Joe's, Capra's, Vado's. I don't want to leave anybody out because if they end up watching this, they'll be pissed. We're in both of the Reed stores, Highway 65 Bait. If you get up in the Ely area, Arrowhead Outdoors. So yeah, if you go to our website, baitcaddy.com, and click on stores, you'll see a list of the stores that we're currently in. And if you're in an area that you have a local bait store that doesn't have them, feel free to send me a message, and I will see what we can do to get them in that store.
Very cool.
And then for the people at home, can you remind us like your, social media, how people can, come and learn about you guys, or even your website?
The website is baitcaddy.com, and we do have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Bait Caddy, and that's as far as I've gone.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, that is really perfect. So there is a whole lot there. The pictures all kind of speak for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And a great website. I was just visiting it recently. So definitely go and check that out. And then we did also put the code into the comments here. So for people who are watching, that is written down.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can check it out and then go and visit you guys. So that will be awesome. And we look forward to seeing you at the shows and the expos this year as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. Perfect.
Cool. Well, and thank you so much for being on tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it. Thanks to all of you supporters too. Thanks for everybody buying Bait Caddies. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. That's perfect. To everybody at home, thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight because it was great. Perfect. So I guess that's that. And looking forward to seeing everybody on next week's edition of the Night Bite.
Night, everybody.